Thank you for taking the time to join us today for the Auckland Wooden Boat Festival 2025 Talks and Tours edition. So why is this Talks and Tours edition? Last year, in 24, we did the full Wooden Boat Festival. Who was here for last year? Great. Oh my God. T, our job is done. Yeah. And so that was so wonderful. We thought 2 years in between festivals was too long, so we've created the Talks and Tours edition. And of course, the big festival is modelled on wooden boat shows all over the world. But I suppose our close cousins in Australia, in Hobart, Tasmania, are the show that we really look up to. And we went and visited this year as well. Well, we more than visited. Their theme was New Zealand and the Pacific. And Tony got invited to take Ngataki. He decided taking one boat wasn't enough. So he took a 40-foot container, 4 other dinghies, and the whole story, as well as the museum came as well. So talking about the museum, we've got some fabulous partners who work with us on the Auckland Wooden Boat Festival. So of course, the New Zealand Maritime Museum, so Vincent and Alison and the team, are fantastic partners for us, as well as Tātaki Auckland Unlimited. So they provided the base funding last year, and they've provided a bit of funding for this year as well. And then we've also got Perpetual Guardian, so Andrew Barnes and Charlotte Lockhart. So they own the boat Ariki, as well as other classic boats as well. And Richard Cave, we've just enticed him into the room for this presentation, will be able to show you around Ariki later. And of course, we've got Larry Paul here from the Classic Yacht Charitable Trust. So they've got boats here that you can go and have a look at as well after this. We've also got Tangaroa Trust, which Tony, the other co-festival director for the festival, standing right here, and who's going to talk to you soon. Tangaroa is also a massive part of the Auckland Wooden Boat Festival. So those are our sponsors. This is day 2 of the talks, and we've had some fabulous speakers yesterday. Today we've got Tony speaking, then we've actually got a hands-on workshop happening. There's a few key issues that have been coming up in the classic yacht community that we've decided we're going to use this gathering to actually talk about those and look for some solutions. Then later on, we've got the William C. Daugherty. John Pratt's going to talk about that and their sustainability journey. And then we're going to end the day on one of our generational leaders within the classic yacht community, Robert Brooke. So very welcome to come and spend the whole day with us. Actually like to welcome some friends from America, from Maryland, who saw some signs and the banner, Tony, and they came. Yeah. So, and any other overseas visitors and things we have here today. So, Tony Stevenson, Auckland's Classic Boating Events, A Visual Journey. Tony is a dynamic, fascinating speaker, passionate about our boating heritage. He will share the story of Auckland's classic boating events through pictures, highlighting those that have helped save the city's maritime legacy. Please join me in welcoming Tony.
Okay. Thank you, Dale. Good morning. Thank you very much for the opportunity to present. Thanks for coming out early on a Sunday morning. I know some of you might have been in the mosh pit at 6:60 and partying hard. So thank you for making the effort and joining us. Appreciate it. Couple of people are in the room that are probably going to make this a little bit harder. They are instrumental in the classic yacht community, and they're a big part of the organisations and the events that we're running here as well. So if there's any heckling from the back row, you'll know where that's coming from. We've also got Roger Mills, who we're extremely grateful for. Does a lot of the video work with our classic boats, and he's been very generous in sharing with us this video that we're going to watch. And we are doubling up. The video does show a lot of the events that we'll talk about later on with static photos. So we'll start with this, and thanks very much to Roger Mills again. Not bad. A lot of fun. Whoop, no, here we go. So thank you for that. Roger's compiled several of the events that we have in New Zealand that are quite spectacular. They have been established for a long time. Ivor Wilkins is here. If you ever want to see one of the most beautiful classic books, Ivor wrote that several years ago. It's called Classic, and it is it's gold as well, and it's very similar to a lot of the footage and celebration of classic boats in New Zealand. As Michelle mentioned, for the Auckland Wooden Boat Festival, what made it work last year is a lot of those groups and a lot of people in the room here, when we said, can we put a classic wooden boat festival and the Auckland Wooden Boat Festival together, they simply said yes. And we managed to get incredible help from the Maritime Museum with Vincent and Alison. Larry's here with the Classic Yacht Charitable Trust, the Daring Discovery Centre, William C. Daldy Preservation, which you saw the old tugboat there. And then we had amazing support from Perpetual Guardian and Moana as well. Also a lot of footage put together by Roger Mills with Hummingbird Productions. So we were very grateful for that, and it proved to be quite a success. What's great this weekend is the opening of the Percy Voss building down in Hammer Street as well. And the idea of the celebration of New Zealand's rich history of classic boat building. We're an island nation. The transport for coastal transport and whatnot made us very reliant on wooden boats for trade, transportation, and of course we've got this incredible marriage between New Zealand native timber and amazing boat building skills that immigrants brought, but previous to that with voyaging and the Pacific Islands, their techniques of boat building as well. What was interesting when we showed that video and Rogers updated it, when the Australians saw our gaffs racing, there were audible wows in the audience. They were blown away with the group of gaffs and Classic A boats that are sailing. And the big difference about New Zealand is these boats are raced, and they're original. A lot of them are in their original state, over 100 years old, with the original materials. It's the kauri, Pahutakawa, Kahikatea. What doesn't happen is, if you see all the classic boats in the Med, they are simply reproductions. And well done, they've spent a lot of money, but they are reproductions. So it's something that we're incredibly proud of in New Zealand, that we've got original boats, the wonderment of native timbers and whatnot. We always like our classic launches being rafted up, and it's something that we've worked hard for the last 10, 15 years as a trust. Within Auckland, the originals were actually the Classic Yacht Charitable Trust, started by the late John Street, and now run by Larry Paul and a great team. These are incredible boats that have great provenance. They're really important boats to New Zealand's maritime history, and they're big boys, and they charge around the harbour racing. Pretty much for us in the B division, if any of these come your way, we're gone. We say might is right when you're talking about these boats. So they have a great group of volunteers, crew and supporters, and restoration of boats as well is very important. The Mighty Francis, which I think is a gorgeous wee boat, and Gloriana. So they've got 9 or 10 boats, Larry, in the fleet, and they've got community initiatives as well that they look after. Waitangi gets extra shots because Larry's here and we love the boat, so we're giving it a big plug. And Francis again, which looks like a well-oiled crew. Look at them going about their work. Yes. Tangaroa Trust was inspired by John Street and what they were doing with the A, so we decided to do something with the B division. Jesse Logan is 1880. It's the oldest purpose-built gaff boat in the Southern Hemisphere, and we're in restoration mode with her at the moment. That's the only original photo of her 1885 racing on Auckland Harbour, and she is a little speedster. So we're quite excited about bringing her back into the fleet. Rawani is 1908, beautiful Logan. Des Townsend a renowned New Zealand designer, described her as the smiling seductress and said it's the most beautiful boat that he's seen. So we're immensely proud of her. She is actually sailed by an all-female crew. And we talked about this yesterday. What we love is they go out there and kick butt. So the males with far too much testosterone and belief in themselves are quietly put to the sword by an all-girl crew, and we're delighted by that. Takana's 1905, Kotuku is another one. This is up in Mahurangi, and that's little Jessie Logan in behind. Corona is one of the mullet boats, which is very similar with the Australians having their Cuda boat. And these boats were used for fishing. It was the fastest boat back to the harbour with the fish, got to the auctions fast. But it's a very powerful boat. We get a phone call. I think Larry and I probably get a phone call once a month. Somebody's got a beautiful boat that they want to donate to us. Well, we stopped this one from going to the tip by 24 hours. It had some provenance. It was built by the Goodfellow family. The deck and the cabin was a little bit dodgy, so we ended up with this. And it's a great little day racer and not bad for a 38-footer having hiking straps and your bum on the rail hiking. And Ngataki is the boat that we'll talk about later on, but that's taken quite a few restorations to get it to this stage, and we were very excited about taking it to Hobart. Another Logan, a picnic boat called Otera. This is it on her launch day, 1902. And again, these boats were very much a part of the New Zealand landscape. They transported people around the harbour, they got you out to the big boats, they were supply boats. And so the Logans, Baileys and other boat builders this was their bread and butter business. So we've just had her restored 2 years ago, and we took her to Hobart as well. I put this in because this was a beautiful clinker boat designed and built by Robert Brooke, and he's talking today at 3 o'clock. And I highly recommend that if you can join us, you'll be enthralled with what Robert's got to say. Interestingly enough, that was built by the New Zealand Traditional Boat Building School. A wealthy owner came in, put down 60 grand, said, can you build me a boat? And he never came back to collect it. So thank you to wealthy investors. Kotuku is another of our boats, Dolphin. And then on to the Classic Yacht Association. One of the founding members here is Chad Thompson, who with 3 others decided we needed to do something about our maritime history, and they're pretty instrumental for how a lot of our trusts, a lot of our events have really developed over the last 20, 30 years. So we're proud of what the CYA does, and we're all members of it. There are over 350 members, and they put on the classic yacht racing and a lot of social events. Wild Duck was one of our boats that we used for the race committee. And of course, we love trophies. Michelle loves trophies, and the camaraderie and whatnot with the CYA is something that we're proud of. So classic wooden boat exhibitions and festivals, it's something Tino Rawa has been doing for some time. And what we've done is developed a series of events that acknowledged, celebrated a certain type of boat, a type of designer. In this case, this was our clinker boat exhibition. And it was just amazing having the quality of boats that people look after and maintain. This one was with the New Zealand sailing dinghies. That was interesting. Jack Taylor here was one of the best clinker boat builders in New Zealand. He worked for Percy Voss. He was a delight to have, his knowledge of boat building and whatnot. I did have a chat with him about a certain port starboard incident with the famous New Zealand designer Jim Young, and the two of them had a confrontation while sailing when they were very young. And I said to Jack, how did it go? And he said, well, Jim was wrong. He was wrong then, he's still wrong now. And he failed to give way on port. So, but Jack was 94 when he joined us there. We did an exhibition with the mullet boat, the V8 Bogans of the Waitemata. And that was very enjoyable, and that brought the Ponsonby Cruising Club together. It was a great celebration. Nothing beats our classic boats rafted up. They really do attract a lot of attention on the waterfront. And then of course we've got some beautiful bespoke classic launches that have been built. The majority of these are from the 30s, and they've been beautifully maintained, and in some cases fully restored. There are several events that happen throughout New Zealand, but in particular one that if you ever have the chance to attend, it would have to be Maharangi. And it's just a regatta that's so special. Steve Horsley's here. He's an instrumental part of the success of the regatta. He's brought down his boat, Ngātera, and everybody just rafts up for a great weekend. There's nothing fancy about it. There's a race, there's a great beach party, there's a launch parade, and it's just got a lovely feel about it. So if you ever have the opportunity to get up to Maharangi and enjoy that, that's on over anniversary weekend. A-Class Gaff exhibition, that was a chance for us to pull together our fleet of A-Class boats. We're very proud. We're very proud of this fleet and the quality of them. And as I said before, they're raced quite extensively in Auckland. That could well be an Ivor Wilkins photo as well. I'll have a chat with you later about copyright on that, Ivor. But beautiful photos of our fleet. And again, the Australians and others from overseas just marvel at the fact that these boats are racing. For some boats that is parked up in the marina. And so again, it's something we're really proud of, that these boats are actively raced and competed with. So we had this opportunity, as Michelle said, to pull together an Auckland Wooden Boat Festival, and we had 5 months to do it. And we put together 20 people in a room from different organisations and whatnot. And we simply said, how can we make this work? And everyone said yes. And the passion about making a wooden boat festival happened, just had so much momentum. And I think it speaks volumes about the people that are in the classic boat community. Everybody turned up, everybody wanted to participate, and we were very pleased with the result. And we think it's got legs, we think it's going to grow. We're doing it every 2 years, and we're alternating with the Australian Wooden Boat Festival in Hobart. Mark Chu, who is on the board with the Australian Wooden Boat Festivals, he wrote an article about it, and he said there's one thing about the Kiwis. He said if you have a look at the Auckland Wooden Boat Festival, there wasn't one part of the exhibition that was put in to make up the numbers. Everything had a place there. And there was a moment where 7 or 8 people around a chart curated the boats and the history and the wealth of knowledge that went into discussing New Zealand's rich history, maritime history, the importance of the boats that they represented and the provenance of them. This boat was designed by Charles Bailey when he was 21 years of age. What year is it, Larry or Chad? Is it 1892. See right here? This moment is brought to you by Specsavers. Or that was a trick question to see if you were paying attention. There was a lot of interaction. We wanted the kids to come in and enjoy and participate with it as well. And that was a highlight. And again, our partnership with the New Zealand Maritime Museum was very instrumental in that. What's new for us this week? And we went to a function opening the Percy Voss building, which is down the other end of the waterfront here. And we're very excited about the possibilities going forward with the New Zealand Traditional Boat Building School. This wasn't from Friday, this was quite a few Fridays ago, but Percy Voss, very instrumental in boat building in the Auckland scene. So to the Australian Wooden Boat Festival, we'd had a chat, Michelle and I had a chat with them. They wanted to do a Pacific series. They wanted to celebrate the rich history that is around the Pacific, around navigating, voyaging. And in particular, they asked us, would we consider taking Ngataki, This boat was built in 1931. A young man quit his job and he decided he wanted to go sailing around the Pacific. So he built this beautiful vessel for £8, 10 shillings in his parents' front yard. What we delight about that is no council permits or health and safety or anything else. The story of Ngataki resonates very strongly for a lot of people, mainly because he wrote a book called South Sea Vagabonds. And it's about sailing, it's about the Trans-Tasman race from 1934, from Auckland to Melbourne, but it also speaks volumes of follow your dreams. Believe in what you can do and don't be shy on those challenges. And the book resonates across many platforms in that regard. Robert Brooke, again, who will be talking this afternoon, said that the boat needs rescuing. We got to it within 24 hours, and he said there's not much to do on it. It's taken us 10 years. It cost him £8, 10 shillings to build originally, and I haven't added up the bills for the restoration on it. So every time I see Robert Brooke, I'm happy to tell him that he was very wrong. What is so interesting about the boat is that Johnny Ray had a modest array of boat building skills. He wasn't a traditional boat builder, but he was handy. And what he did to make the frames, the more complex frames inside, was he wired them together. He got number 8 wire, he shaped it into the form of pins. On a hot summer's day, he got tar off the road, and when his mum went out, he boiled up the tar, dipped the pins in, and baked them in the oven. And to this day, that is the way that this boat is held together. True Kiwi number 8 wire. So this is the start of the race between Te Rapunga. Te Rapunga was owned by a chap called George Dibbon, who escaped Nazi Germany. And George had a very interesting philosophy on life as well. He considered himself not belonging to any state. He considered himself a citizen of the world. And so George had a very free life. He was happy to sail the ocean. In actual fact, he was interned in Soames Island in Wellington during both World War I and World War II. So he got to see a bit of Wellington Harbour there from his lookout. But his philosophy was really interesting. And for these two, he also wrote an amazing book called Quest. So for Johnny Ray and Ngataki and George Dibbon with Te Rapunga, both of them have an amazing story to tell. And both books are available, and they are well worth investing in, well worth a read. So we just threw it on a truck and said, let's take it to Hobart. Probably Michelle suggests I should have looked at the detail and the logistics a little bit more. It was a bit of a marathon effort to get the beautiful Ngataki to Bell Bay at the top of Tasmania and then freighted down. We also decided to pack up a wee 40-foot container with Otera, a P-class, a silver fern and a frostbite. And we turned up on force, not only with the Tino Rawa Trust, but a group of volunteers and helpers from our classic boat community. And we were very grateful for that support. This is a 1920 P-class with a gunter rig, original kahikatea planking, and we were amazed with the number of people who came by and said, my dad gave me one of those. I sailed one of those. We didn't actually realise so many had actually been built in Australia. And so there were quite a few. It's not beauty is in the eye of the beholder. It's not always the prettiest of boats, and it's also not the easiest to sail. But what makes the P-class so interesting is it's a who's who of New Zealand sailors now and previously have all succeeded. If you can sail a P-class, you can sail anything, said Russell Coates. The silver fern that we took over, a little bit of jewellery. Have to thank Paul Stefanis on the right here, who's the general manager for the Australian Wooden Boat Festival. And Michelle and I worked collaboratively with him. It's a big part of why we are going to see literally hundreds of Australians coming over to the Auckland Wooden Boat Festival. And if you ever try and book a flight from Auckland to Hobart, you'll find most of them full because we're doing the same. But the good thing about this is that we can alternate wooden boat festivals. They're different boats, they're different materials. They're really interesting, but great festivals. And they've given us a lot of support with the direction that Auckland wants to go. Our esteemed videographer in the middle, having a chat with Roger Hill, one of our supporters, designers. So we decked out the container with storyboards. We had the original Logan boat building tools there. And then we had a promotion promoting the Moana Festival here, which is happening at the moment. That's pretty special when you've got the original Logan boat building tools from 1880. We had to change the stories a little bit because we were showcasing the New Zealand story to the Australians. So our sentence structures and the size of the words that we used, we shrunk. But we still had to help a few of them. But the crowd that's sitting at Hobart, they have over 60,000 people. And what's interesting is the number of people that travel to these festivals, that they don't pop in for a weekend. I was still speaking with Roger Mills when he was over there for another 2 or 3 weeks. So these festivals are a significant economic impact for a city. And with an election year coming up, if you've got any chance to corner Mayor Brown or any of the councillors, you need to tell them how important it is that if Auckland wants to celebrate being a maritime nation, what we have on the waterfront is so special, they need to invest in the Auckland Wooden Boat Festival. This woman kept turning up, I don't know who she is. Was there every day, first thing in the morning, last thing at night, and seemed to have that smile despite the long days. We had the beautiful Corsair, the Frostbite, and again, we were really proud to be New Zealanders with the compliments we got about the quality of the boats and the workmanship. We were also flying the flag. Michelle and I decided it was about time the Aussies copped it, so we took the laser Kiwi flag and it was game on. So the opportunity for us to raft up next to Te Rapunga, and after 90 years we recreated the Trans-Tasman race. Te Rapunga had been found in New Lynn, had been transported to Hobart and had been restored by a group of enthusiasts there. Unfortunately, when it landed, there wasn't much they could save in the boat, so it virtually ended up being a complete rebuild. But for us to have both boats to come back together again was wonderful. Blustery Saturday afternoon, the lead changed 4 times. And as you can see, the very svelte shape of Ngataki, which I think has got some of the most beautiful lines in a classic boat, but I seem to be the only one with that odd view. But she's a big, beamy caravan. And Te Rapunga, the workmanship on board it is just something to see. So this is us coming down to the finish, neck and neck. And then that happens to be Tony Blake's painting of the departure of both boats with North Head in the background for the start of the Trans-Tasman, and we thought we were there or thereabouts with the 90 years later celebrating that. And with a wee Johnny Ray rum, we toasted George Dibbon and Johnny Ray, and it was a great day. It really was the highlight for the Australian Wooden Boat Festival. They were over the moon with it. So there you go. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.